Yep, so Bravo Company is here, part of Exercise Koolendong, which is a joint exercise with the Australian Defence Force. So Bravo Company has already done a platoon live fire range and we're preparing now to do a movement to contact, integrating the entire company. So this training area is bigger than 29 Palms, which is the largest training area the Marine Corps has in the United States. So it's plenty of area, especially from my standpoint as a fire support officer. You get impact areas for artillery and 81s and all other supporting arms that are absolutely huge, way bigger than we can get anywhere else. So what's going to be good about this is earlier in the deployment, we had the opportunity to work with the Australian Joint Fires teams, which are the parallel teams to our teams, which are the FIST teams, fire support teams. So doing that, we were able to figure out a lot of the potential friction points and work through the comm and all the procedures for calling in their artillery. So what will be good here is we'll actually have their artillery supporting our maneuver. So they will attach their joint fires teams to our FIST teams and will work together alongside to use both American and Australian fire support assets to support maneuver. Absolutely is. It's really cool whenever you can just get different fire support assets within the Marine Corps, just to be able to bring in the firepower of another nation's armed forces is really awesome. They're exceptional. They're highly trained. Talking to them, they're always professional. They know how to have fun too. Great guys to work with. So tomorrow we're doing a movement contact, the purpose of which is to gain and maintain contact with the enemy. So we'll be moving in a formation that allows for the company to make contact with the enemy with the smallest unit possible. That gives the company commander the freedom to either bypass or commit his forces to make contact into that contact. So say we encounter a smaller unit that would only delay us, that the first unit to make contact with them, that first squad or platoon, can make that contact while the rest of the company moves around and continues to the objective. And once we finally hit that unit that the company commander wants to commit his forces to, then we'll do the full attack. We'll fix them with one unit, have the other unit flank. I think so. We've already done 2 walkthroughs and we're about to do a live rehearsal, or correction, a full dress rehearsal, no live rounds. We should be ready. We've briefed it over and over again. So basically we're going through all the ranges now that we'll be using during the final exercise of Exercise Koolendong, which is perfect because that's a live rehearsal for every single range that we're going to be doing. So next we'll be doing a helo raid, which we'll be doing during the final exercise. So we'll rehearse it, we'll practice getting on and off the birds, what we do when we hit the ground, move to the objective, and then we'll do a couple more ranges before the FINEX so that we have basically done everything once before we go into the final exercise, so it should go smoothly and quickly. So this is an incredibly thorough CASEVAC plan. At each phase line, the CASEVAC vehicle will be stopping with the XO, myself, First Sergeant. As the company moves forward, CASEVAC will move forward behind them. That way we're as close as possible without getting in the way of the attack. Safety is incredibly important. We're all taking, even more than usual, we're taking our safety seriously since there are live rounds. Everybody's going to be in full PPE, flak, Kevlar, eye pro, ear pro, not taking any risks. So all the communication between the platoons is going to be incredibly important, just so each platoon knows where everybody is, and then the company commander and the COC tracking where everyone is as well. And having rehearsed it so many times like we have, there should be no issues with conflicting fires.
I am currently with Blackfoot 3rd Platoon, working as a first squad leader. Right now we are at the Bradshaw Field Training Area. We're about to kick off into our company movement to contact live fire range, basically making sure that our company is able to fight through a company defense. Yeah, Koolendong is like the culminating event for this deployment for us. We're trying to increase our bilateral training and interoperability with the Australian Army. And what we've done so far, we've done a platoon live fire range. We're about to move into a company movement to contact range. and just ensure that we're able to work alongside the Australians and we're combat ready. Since working with the Australians, we've noticed that we had a few flaws in the way we work together with them. We've noticed that we can't really communicate with them as well as we can with each other. So we've fixed that since being here. As well, we've taken some of the things we've learned from them when they're rushing through an attack and whatnot. We've taken some of the things that they do and applied it to our training as well. During Hemel, we tried to focus on doing insertions, long range and short range insertions through enemy defense, and we really increased our ability to do so during Hemel. Tomorrow morning, we're going to start off doing our company live fire movement to contact. What's going to happen is we're going to have 3 platoons rolling through a platoon defense to where our platoon will be up front trying to destroy the enemy before they can stop us from moving. That way, the enemy doesn't know where we're coming from by the time we're actually hitting them. And before they have time to react, we've already killed or captured them. Yeah, since being here at Bradshaw, we've had a little bit less restrictions on what we can do. Before coming here, we weren't really able to conduct a live fire movement to contact, but tomorrow we're going to be able to do it for the first time. The terrain over here is a lot more flat than it is at Hemel in Townsville. It's a little bit hotter here, kind of similar to the terrain in Mount Bundy with a little bit less vegetation. The training level of my squad, I think, is awesome. We've been doing training together for a little over a year now. I think they're well prepared for our next operation. We're extremely excited to work alongside the Australians with them, increasing interoperability, especially since it's live fire. They get to see how we operate, we get to see how they operate again. Tomorrow we'll be utilizing our medium machine guns, 7.62, as well as our small arms, M4s, M16s, with M203s, and notionally we'll be firing 60mm mortars in order to destroy the enemy.
Will you guys be firing rockets at all tomorrow?
So once we're done here with the live fire movement to contact, we'll be pushing into a Heliborne Assault, which is we're all going to load up on helicopters and get dropped off near an objective, and from there we're going to assault through and attack. There's not much difference between helo inserts than vehicle inserts, other than we're actually going up in air. We're going to get there quicker. We kind of have to get dropped off further away because it's a little bit louder, but we get there quicker. Anytime we're conducting live fire movements or any kind of live fire activities, communication is paramount. Without communication, you could have fratricide, people could be shooting their buddies. That's why we practice this without doing live fire so often.
The exercise itself, we just came out of Exercise Hemel. We were back for about 6 days, and we came out here. We've known about it since about the beginning of deployment. This was our finishing exercise, our FinEx, so we've been preparing for it for a while, a lot of rehearsals and getting everything ready gear-wise, weapons-wise. Training, this is where like the culminating event, so it's definitely been preparing for it a lot. In the States, about the only places we do live fire, at least that I've ever done live fire, is in on Camp Pendleton, the different ranges on Pendleton, and then in 29 Palms. And 29 Palms has got a lot of good ranges, but here is definitely comparable to 29 Palms. In Camp Pendleton, there's a lot of rangeisms, stuff that we can't do that would make training better. And here we have like 360 degrees, able to fire, and it works out good. So the last range we did was a movement to contact range at range 3. It was pretty legit. We moved in a company size element. My squad was advanced guard. We were on the left flank. We moved up, our platoon took out a sniper team, and then moved forward, took out a fire team. And then our squad pushed up, we set up a support by fire, and our entire platoon took out a squad in a hasty defense. We got to fire a lot of rounds, assault through the objective. It was definitely some good training. Then the rest of the company pushed forward. We linked up with second platoon, pushed forward with them, and ended up consolidating in a company defense 360 degrees or 180 degrees, so it worked out pretty good. The execution definitely was good. We did enough rehearsals and dry runs that we knew what we were looking at. We got a really good order from company and platoon, so we knew what we were doing, we knew what we were looking at. We rehearsed it enough that we had the tactics down, and when it came time to execute, we definitely did execute, and it worked out perfectly. I mean, definitely wears on you after a while, but the reason why we joined the infantry is because that stuff excited us before we even ever did it. So I mean, it's one of those things, not many people get the opportunity to go out and shoot on fully automatic weapons and shoot 203 rounds and all that stuff. So it works out pretty cool. It's fun. I mean, a lot of times it sucks, but it gets definitely when push comes to shove, you love what you do. I definitely love my job. I actually got to go out and work with them with their 2nd Cav. Got to go out and work interoperability with the LAVs. We were actually in the back of the LAVs as scouts for them. That was really cool. I'd never worked with LAVs before, and it was pretty tight with doing that. The Aussies, though, they're definitely a good force. I'd be glad to work next to them in combat any day. They definitely know what they're doing, and they've proved that to us, and I think we've proved that to them. At a personal level, like Lance Corporal to Digger, as they call them, definitely just like us, like drink beer and smoke cigarettes, and they're just like us. If they grew up in the States, they're basically Americans with accents, is kind of like what we've been saying. So they think a lot like us, especially the grunts. Definitely. I mean, we haven't really fired many live rounds with them at all, aside from a couple of times. So it's definitely going to be pretty cool to get out there and actually do some live fire with them. But everything we've done so far has been with blanks. But they definitely proved themselves that we're excited to do it. I definitely would want Australia, and I know Australia would be on our side, but I definitely would not be hesitant about patrolling with an Aussie right next to me. They definitely have proved themselves to me as a Lance Corporal, and I think we've proved ourselves to them. And they're definitely a very good fighting force. They're very small, so it has its perks. I mean, it's kind of like the Marine Corps, how small the Marine Corps is. We're the best fighting force in the States because we're so small that we can focus on each individual Marine as a whole. And they got the same thing going there. If something would ever pop off, though, I think the way we've been working together, we definitely would stomp on the enemy.
Exercise Talisman Sabre has allowed us to demonstrate seamless integration with our Australian Defense Force counterparts. In today's exercise, what we've done is conducted an attack here, a company-sized attack on an objective. Prior to this attack, there's been many demonstrations where we've displayed our combined arms ability and ability to integrate with the ADF. In the beginning, we shaped this objective with Australian Defense Force artillery, along with Marine artillery, followed up by attacks with Marine aviation close air support from rotary wing CAS, and then combined all those effects of Marine artillery, Australian artillery, and our close air support to allow a Heliborne force to insert in this objective area. Good one. Exercise Talisman Sabre has allowed us to demonstrate the operational reach of the maritime component of the Joint Task Force. The 3rd Marine Expeditionary Brigade has pushed forces down over 500 kilometers inland. What we've been able to do is coordinate using digital means back for resources, supplies, and forces to push forward in here. Reaching back through 4th Marines and the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Brigade, we've managed to get fixed-wing forces to show up in support of today's attack, in addition to rotary wing assets and assault support to help us out here today. All that's been seamlessly integrated with our Australian Defense Force partners, who we've been operating with for over a month now in this exercise, allowing us to build and develop SOPs. So in today, as demonstrated, we can seamlessly integrate as we get aboard the same aircrafts to assault this objective, a company-sized objective, which we have before us here today.
Call sign 3-1, which is an infantry rifle platoon from the 5th Battalion of the Royal Australian Regiment, has just conducted a platoon assault onto an enemy objective, which was characterised by a number of pits and a number of delay positions in order to try to attrit my force. My force was able to successfully suppress the enemy position, manoeuvre their rifle sections in such a way that they were able to destroy the enemy pits and clear those pits. in order to successfully accomplish their mission. This is my first time working with the United States Marine Corps, and I must say that I've been thoroughly impressed by, first of all, the hospitality that CO Murph D has shown to myself and my soldiers, and also the professionalism and the absolute battle cunning and battle focus that the United States Marine Corps display throughout all of their training. And that's certainly been something that myself and my soldiers have appreciated being a part of whilst we've participated in Exercise Talisman Sabre.
Okay, so we joined together with Bravo Company to conduct an air mobile insertion and a live fire attack on a heavily defended enemy position, supported by BMP-3s and a dug-in enemy. We conducted serials where the 3 platoons went through and did their own individual live fire assaults commanded by Bravo Company CO. So we've just completed that. We had artillery in support, as well as close air support, and then the 81mm and 60mm mortars. Yeah, well, it's a very big training area. I think this training area extends from where we are now, 60 kilometres north to the ocean. So there's a lot of area, there's a lot of room for manoeuvre. So all the creative ideas, I guess, that higher headquarters are coming up with, we can actually get out on the ground and execute those because we've got all this room to do it, which is great. Yeah, look, we love having the Marines in Australia. They're fantastic. You know, I was just talking to CO earlier and talking about how it's interesting how, you know, we can both get the same task completed, but in slightly different ways, and we both bring different ideas and different techniques to the table. And we're certainly learning things off each other. You know, Australia is a much smaller country than America, but it's great to see that, you know, you guys are learning a little bit off us as well.
So out here working with the Aussies, it's been pretty amazing. We have great camaraderie working with them. They have a lot of similarities with us Marines, and they're considered the tigers of the 5th RR. So we're out here and just the 2 units working together, it's been amazing for us. So without being here in Mount Bundy for Talisman Sabre, it's been pretty amazing having such a wide and such a large scale area to train. It kind of reminds us of 29 Palms back in the States, and we're able to use pretty big armaments out here. So we're able to use the 155s, our 60s, 81s, and we're able to use a lot of attack Cobras.
81s and 60mm mortars to allow a platoon to close onto a 3 trench system objective of a squad reinforced type element. And what we had was the detail coordination that goes on between the platoon commander, the company commander, and all the firing agencies to allow them to successfully close the distance and the time space required to get up right up on the the enemy prior to making their entry into that trench system. Overall, I mean, this is a learning experience for all of us, you know, so we only get better by doing this multiple times. And operating here in BFTA, you know, seeing a different type of terrain with the tree lines and not being able to see it open like we do back at home is a real challenge for us. And I think it's a good workout for the platoons and for myself as a company.
Well, we have had outstanding opportunities to coordinate with our Australian partners. During the 1st Battalion FEX at Mount Bundy, our 5th team got to attach to an Australian joint fires team, in which we got to see a lot of their standard operating procedures and how they bring fires to bear on the enemy. And we learned so much from each other that we're going to take back and apply when we get back to the United States. I think it's important for the MAGTF because the MAGTF's goal is to achieve that combined arms dilemma for the enemy. And through us, we're able to support the ground scheme maneuver, their direct fires, with indirect fires in air, which will put the enemy on the horns of a dilemma in order to quickly allow the ground element to fulfill their scheme maneuver.
Today we're conducting an operation in support of 1-4 Marines assault on an objective to our northeast. From there we were suppressing the enemy air defences to enable CH-53s to drop personnel on top of that objective to secure it. So we were supporting the 1-4 Marines to enable them to use the helo lift to drop soldiers onto the objective. We were suppressing an enemy air defence, which would have otherwise shot those helicopters out of the air. So by us moving up to this forward position and then engaging those enemy air defences, we're enabling our soldiers to get on the ground and secure those objectives relatively safely. So this has taken a couple of weeks preparation. We've done 2 other helo lifts using the M777s and the CH-53s in the weeks building up to this. So also the last couple of days preparing, getting our ammunition and stores ready to go, and so we're good for the lift today. So this actual activity itself is quite new for the 101st Battery, being we don't really have the helo lift capability as part of 1st Brigade in Darwin. So this exposure to CH-53s that we gained from MRF-D being present within the Darwin area is an excellent opportunity for our guys to get out there and get involved in these air mobile lifts and that sort of activities. Yeah, to be honest, for myself and both my guys as well, it's been a pretty exciting exercise for us. So a lot of exposure to some new and pretty exciting things, including the HIMARS. We've linked in with Mike Battery as well. So we were in part of an 8-gun gun line for a period of about 2 weeks, which is something that we don't get to be a part of very often. So having the MRF-D and USMC guys on the ground here definitely is a force multiplier for us, and definitely is exciting and a good activity. So there's 2 phases to the current Talisman Sabre, or 2 areas for the current Talisman Sabre, being here in Bradshaw training area and also Shoalwater Bay on the east coast. So it's a quite large exercise for the Australian Army and also incorporating the USMC guys as well. This being a relatively new exposure to our guys, so any sort of this helo capability is a very new and exciting opportunity for our guys to learn some pretty essentially stuff that we don't get to touch very often. So this is a capability that we're looking to be able to capitalise and hopefully utilise these CH-53s that are provided by MRF-D a lot more in the future as we continue our sort of partnership in the coming years. So we're going almost back to back in exercises, so we've got about a month until we're back out in Mount Bundy training area with the USMC guys again.
Yeah, so we supported 5 RAR and 1-4 Marines with indirect fire support, so we suppressed the enemy or notional enemy with our rounds, which then allowed the Marines and the Australians to land safely and continue their activity. I think the importance of this training for the Australians and the American is that joint activity. So using the Marines' air assets and then the Australian guns, it was a successful operation for that training for both sides. So for the pilots and the ground crew for the Marines, and also the Australians for the gun detachment. Yes, this is we prepared for this for a 3-phase operation. So there was phase 1, which was just a pick up and lift. That we conducted about 15 days ago. Phase 2 was a pick up and move about 10 kilometres to practice the distance. And then phase 3 was executed today. So that was a pick up and move up to the escarpment and then engage. Yeah, so the new activity today was in particular the Marines helicopter, so the CH, lifting our guns. So that was something new. We've done it on this exercise, but I can't say that we've done it prior to this exercise. Yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity for us to work with the Marines, just that extra exposure. You guys can provide a lot more assets than, and bigger assets to conduct this sort of training. So it's a great opportunity for the Australians and for the Marines down in Australia at the moment. I think the soldiers can learn a lot from today's activity and also the last 30 days in the field, mainly in particular with the integration with the Marines. They learn a lot with new weapon systems, getting exposure to new aircraft and the low loading, the lifting and loading of the weapons and the ammunition and other stores. So 101 Battery's future plans, immediately we're heading back to Darwin next 2 days or so, which is a lot of morale for the guys, and a bit of R&R, and then we're setting back off with the Marines to Mount Bundy training area, conduct some more multinational training there, so that'll be good. To be honest, it's always good training, and this one in particular, it's been really good and really successful, just because that multinational thing. Like this is probably the most integration I've had with another nation, and with both assets. Like using a full Marine air asset to lift just Australians. It's great to see that we're just be able to integrate so well together. And hopefully it works well on operations if it ever comes to that as well. So it's good to know that we've got that integration.